Hey guys, my name is Dr. Rishi. This is Cyrus. We are co-founders of Mumbai Movement Academy. We are here to talk to you about one of the most interesting projects that we've ever done as part of the academy, which is training the Indian Army. So basically, the two of us were in Hyderabad working on a film project when I received the call out of the blue from a captain of 25GR, which is a Gorkha regiment, that time stationed in Ranchi. They wanted to know more about parkour as a discipline and us and how we would go about hypothetically training the army for parkour. This being the very early stages, we also didn't take it as very serious because we've had inquiries before that got us very excited that led to nowhere. But a few days later, the major from the regiment called us and it started looking more like this could be happening. That's when we started jumping with a little bit of excitement, and they wanted us to come and train their boys in parkour, and that's basically how this project took off.
So I don't think we faced too many challenges. We were more excited than anything because this is something that we looked forward to for a very long time. It's actually very easy to train capable students. It's much harder and requires much more preparation to train people who don't have any background. So when it came to teaching people who were already recruits of the infantry, who already had to pass like a very strict physical assessment and maintain their fitness at all times, it was, I would say, a lot easier to teach than teaching a class in Bombay. And we found that for most of them, they were really enthusiastic, wanted to learn really badly. They loved jumping, running, climbing and throwing themselves off things anyway.
I think he's forgetting a couple of the challenges that we did actually have. One being when the team came here for the first time, the first couple of days took us to convincing them that this was something that they will find useful. But after a couple of days, they started realizing where their movement is lacking and how they could see this being useful for them on the field. And that's when you really saw them, staying back, training more, wanting to learn more things, not willing to go back to the base. The second part, I would say, is when we did go to Ranchi, that was a bit of a shock to us at the rate at which people there work, in the sense that we had to now build the setup for them. And we are used to the Bombay speed of people working. That means you call the carpenter, they build the boxes in a day or two and it's done. Here the carpenter comes in, has no clue where the wood is, just a variety of logistical nightmares, which involved finally us taking a couple of trucks and a bunch of boys out onto the jungle, picking up rocks and bringing them back to build a setup.
So when we first got the call, we went through a lengthy process where we submitted multiple proposals and we tried to show the officers of the unit how parkour could benefit their staff. And after a bunch of convincing, the first pilot program we ran was where the selected group of their one company would travel from Ranchi, where their unit was stationed at the time, to Mumbai, stay in one of the local army camps and actually spend a month intensively training with our coaches every day for several hours. As the time went on, the project got greenlit, the soldiers finally came, and we spent a really fun and productive month taking this first initial company through the fundamental basic training of parkour. We taught them skills in the indoor environment as well as the outdoor environment. We focused on things that would be relevant to their work and the terrain that they would be operating in, which is sort of semi-Himalayas, mountainous terrain, and how to translate the skills of parkour both in an urban and natural environment. When they went back, The unit and the officers were actually so pleasantly surprised by how well they had done that they were really happy to invite us for the second leg, which was to come to their regiment station, which was in Ranchi at the time, and teach a much larger group of their unit so that they could share and spread the kind of learning that the small company had received all throughout their unit.
This was basically when we were working with Gorkha Regiment 25GR. When we went to Ranchi to start training them, they had actually also included a couple of the neighboring regiments, namely the Bihar Regiment and the 17 Dogras, right? So it went from being a group of 10 students to being almost 25, if I remember correctly. While we were training the regiment, the Gorkha Regiment at Ranchi, the culmination of that program was a demonstration for the Lieutenant General, who's the Army Chief of the Eastern Command. This took place at Panaghar in West Bengal, where both of us went there, helped set up and choreograph the whole demonstration along with a narration and a video that we had to show them. The video, interesting enough, we shot in 2 days with the entire regiment, which you can probably watch in a link somewhere on this video.
So after the success of our initial program, word spread around through the commanding officers as they usually discuss their successful achievements. The commanding officer of the Gorkha Rifles unit was very kind enough to recommend us heavily to all his friends. And not too long after, we got a call from the 17th Dogra Regiment, who was stationed in Leh of Ladakh at the time, and we went through the same process with them. Training camp in Ladakh was definitely one of the most unique experiences you can imagine, because not only is the landscape, the weather, the environment, everything extremely unique, but we also got to see what it was like to be on a essential frontier zone of the country, very close to a region with active conflict even.
This program, the video that came out of that and the demonstration that came out of that further apparently impressed the higher ups there, because we were then asked to come in for another round of training, this time near Pokhran in Rajasthan. And for this particular round, we decided we should give an opportunity to one of our most senior coaches, Manmohan, and basically he then got to spend 1 month in a frontline training base in a tent, training these boys, and throughout the month handled it all on his own.
The interesting sub-fact, I don't know if you all know, but Pokhran was also the site of India's first nuclear test. So it is a missile testing range, and the unit 17 Dogra that we were training, as they moved down, their regimental location changes all the time. So as they moved to Rajasthan, we were fortunate enough to move to Rajasthan with them and conduct another training camp where we filmed another video, which you will see linked again.
Parkour for civilian and parkour for soldier, is it different?
So the modifications in the curriculum basically came about with this in mind, where they did training with mock weapons and real weapons in terrain that simulates their frontline terrains that they'll actually be using this on. Combat boots, not sports shoes, with their pack, with their weapon. And we also modified a lot of this to focus on stealth, speed, and just problem solving different environments.
When you have people whose professions involve a very direct application of parkour, it became very easy for us to see what they required out of parkour very specifically. For example, they didn't really need to learn too much about swinging on bars, because you don't have bars in a natural environment. But at the same time, they require a lot more of, for example, sustained sub-peak intensity running and jumping, because they can be moving for days at a time through difficult terrain, and they need to retain the endurance and skill set over a long period of time. As Rishi mentioned, it's also really important. The key difference being how you do it with a pack and your gear on. So modifying parkour to that kind of constraint was actually something we also took quite a bit of joy and interest in, because we tested it first ourselves. So interestingly, the idea for the assessments and a lot of the features of our own parkour level system were inspired by our time at the army. The entire level system was developed by me and Rishi almost exclusively on the airplane and train rides that we would have to take to travel to and from the regimental locations. We ended up creating a version of our parkour level system specifically tailored to their needs, removing the superfluous parts that were more for recreation and adding even greater fitness requirements because they would require even more. As military obstacle course training was the root of parkour, there's always some form of that kind of training going on. I would love to see us and other parkour organizations get more and more opportunity to share our modern insights back with the troops, to have that a little specific and technical focus. We can see that they do appreciate our work, and if the logistics and situation demands, we're always happy to be there.
And just to even keep up with foreign military organizations that have now included parkour training as part of their basic requirement, I think we will also have to do that just to keep up with them. Thank you for watching, but do check out the army videos. They're a lot of fun to watch.